أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الله لا يستحيي أن يضرب مثلا ما بعوضة فما فوقها فأما الذين آمنوا فيعلمون أنه الحق من ربهم وأما الذين كفروا فيقولون ماذا أراد الله بهذا مثلا يضل به كثيرا ويهدي به كثيرا وما يضل به إلا الفاسقين الذين ينقضون عهد الله من بعد ميثاقه ويقطعون ما أمر الله به أن يوصل ويفسدون في الأرض أولئك هم الخاسرون. Surah.Baqarah verses 26-27. The translation is: Indeed, Allah does not feel shy in citing any parable, be it that of a gnat or of something above it, in meanness. Now, as for those who believe, they know it is the truth from their Lord, while those who disbelieve say, what could Allah have meant by this parable? By this He lets many go astray, and by this He makes many find guidance. But He does not let anyone go astray thereby except those who are sinful. Those who break the covenant of Allah after it has been made binding and cut off the relations Allah has commanded to be joined and spread disorder on the earth, it is these who are the losers. Verse 26 is telling us about a specific argument given by the people who ignore or refuse to believe in the Quran. So they say that the Holy Quran includes examples of creatures like mosquitoes and flies and gnats, and these are very low-lying creatures, very mean creatures who are small and have no value. So why does the Quran cite examples of these creatures? And based on this, they say that Quran is not the book of Allah because Allah is the Almighty. Allah has a lot of high status. So why would Allah give examples of mosquitoes and gnats and flies? So that is not logical, and therefore, Nauzubillah, Quran is not the book of Allah. So Allah replies, Inna Allah la yastaji. So it's stressed. Allah stresses that indeed Allah does not shy away from quoting any example like that of a gnat or even something which is low-lying than that. Because the logic is, if you need to give an example of a creature which is very low status or a mean creature or creature which is considered disgusting or has no value, if you need to give an example of such a creature, then you must give an example through that same creature, because you give an example of what you want to give an example for. So if you want to give an example of an elephant, you have to give an example of an elephant. So that's logic, and that is also according to the rules of eloquence of any language, that you give an example which you need to give an example of. So Quran specifies that Allah does not shy away from doing this. It's the most logical thing to do. And even if He was to give an example فَمَا فَوْقَهَا of something which is more low-lying or derogatory than a gnat or a mosquito, Allah would have given that example to explain what He wants to explain. These are the type of arguments that are given by those people who were given the right to choose between good and bad. They were given the sense to choose between the right path and the wrong path. And they chose the wrong path so much, they became habitual sinners to such a degree that they lost their faith, they lost their sense, they lost the common sense to distinguish between the right and the wrong. And now they can only think the bad thing, the bad path. And whatever evil they do, they consider it like a good deed. So they lost their sense. But the others, فَأَمَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا those who believed, فَيَعْلَمُونَ أَنَّهُ الْحَقُّ مِنْ رَبِّهِمْ. Allah says that they know that if I am given an example of a gnat or a mosquito or a fly, then they know that even this example is the truth from their Lord. And that their Lord is giving this example for a purpose, for a reason, because He's the wise, He's Al-Hakim. So they believe in that example. So it increases their faith. وَأَمَّا الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا. But as for those who disbelieve, who transgress, who refuse to believe, فَيَقُولُونَ. So they say, مَاذَا أَرَادَ اللَّهُ بِهَذَا مَثَلًا. What does Allah mean by giving such an example? So they say that in a derogatory way. That, oh, Na'uzubillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving the example of a mosquito or a gnat. So what does Allah, mean by giving such an example? Astaghfirullah. So then the result, what's the result of this behavior? So Allah says, يُضِلُّ بِهِ كَثِيرًا. Allah Ta'ala, Allah the Almighty strays them away from Sirat-e-Mustaqim. So they transgress and they stray away from the Sirat-e-Mustaqim, because that's Allah does it to them, because they lost their sense and they give such illogical arguments. So yudillu bihi kathira. So there are many people who transgressed, who made these arguments, and hence they took a path which is not Sirat-e-Mustaqim. And وَيَهْدِي بِهِ كَثِيرًا. And so those who believed and they read examples from their Lord, they said, oh, this example is absolutely the truth, we believe in it. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave them guidance. So just through the mention of a mosquito or a fly or a spider for that matter, many people got guidance. Subhanallah, that is the power of the Quran. And Allah says, وَمَا يُضِلُّ بِهِ إِلَّا الْفَاسِقِينَ. Said, those whom I led astray, they are those people who are fasiqeen. Here fasiqeen means kuffar, but when we use this word for the Muslims, what it means is that a fasiq is someone who has decided to sin habitually. So he is an habitual sinner, and that person is called a fasiq. And a fajir is a person who openly is an habitual sinner and also does sin openly. So he proclaims and everyone knows, and he does openly he is sinning. So that is called a fajir. You see the reality, then every non-Muslim or a kafir is also a fasiq and a fajir. But these two terms, fasiq and fajir, are spoken about the Muslims as well. And then in verse 27, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us another characteristic of these people who ignored the Quran, the Holy Quran. الَّذِينَ يَنْقُضُونَ عَهْدَ اللَّهِ مِنْ بَعْدِ مِيثَاقِهِ. They broke their oath that they took with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that oath was made a binding on them. That was a very firm oath. This has two meanings. So one is the oath which Allah took from all the spirits before they were born, before all the human beings were born. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked them, Alastu bi rabbikum, that am I your sustainer? And everyone agreed to that. Yes, you are our sustainer. So that's the oath that they broke. These people who are ignoring the Quran and making fun of the Quran, na'uz billah. So they broke that oath. The other is the oath which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent down as a religion in this world. So the kuffar, they refused to accept religion, and the Muslims who accepted the religion but they did not fulfill the covenant. So Allah requires us to do haqooqullah and haqooqul ibad. But there are many Muslims who don't say their prayers, who don't follow haqooqul ibad. So they ignore the rights of the parents, they ignore the rights of the relatives, they ignore the rights of the neighbors or the guests or the community for that matter. So they are not fulfilling the covenant. So this ayat is also addressed to them. So they should be careful. الَّذِينَ يَنْقُضُونَ عَهْدَ اللَّهِ مِنْ بَعْضِ مِيثَاقِهِ. That they broke the covenant after it was taken from them. That means the religion was given to them. وَيَقْطَعُونَ مَا أَمَرَ اللَّهُ بِهِ أَنْ يُوصَلَ. And what Allah had commanded them to join, to connect, and that means the haqooqul ibad, to maintain the connection between different relatives, to give them their rights. Everyone should give everyone else his or her right. That is what Allah had commanded us to do. وَيُفْسِدُونَ فِي الْأَرْضِ. So if they did not do that, then this is called fasad. This is called anarchy or destruction. So anarchy is nothing but not giving rights to the other human beings. So this situation applies to both Muslims and non-Muslims. To the non-Muslims, it is obviously understandable because they refuse to accept religion. They make fun of religion. And the Muslims who accepted religion, they are not willing due to their weak faith to fulfill the responsibilities of others, and there are so many problems in that domain. So we should try to mend our relationships as soon as possible, because Allah says ulaika humul khasirun, that these are the people who are going to suffer a huge loss on the day of judgment. They will be amongst the losers on the day of judgment, and even in this world, because they are sinning. So sin is always going to disturb you in some way or another. It's better for us to not to break the relationships and to mend the relationships. So one message that we get is that breaking an oath, if you make a oath to somebody that you're going to do this or you're going to do that, and you break that through your own ignorance, that is a huge sin. And maybe if I get into the habit of doing that deliberately, then maybe all the good deeds will vanish. It's such a huge sin. And the other message we get is Haqooq al-Ibad. So we should make a plan to fulfill the rights of other people, especially the parents and the neighbors and the guests and the siblings. So we should start with them and try to fulfill their rights as much as possible. Otherwise, we will suffer on the day of judgment. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala save us all.